Hey everyone, welcome back. Recently it occurred to me that I've done multiple videos about the Raspberry Pi 3, but I still haven't done any about the newer Pi 4. So today we'll be taking a deep dive into this powerful little board known as the Raspberry Pi 4. Because this ended up being too much content to fit in one video, I decided to split it into two videos. With the first one, the one you're watching right now, being about the hardware of the Pi itself and the peripherals you'll need to get it up and running. The second video is about the different operating systems it can run, how to install them, and which ones are best for which purposes. Whether you're completely new to Raspberry Pi, or you're looking to upgrade from an older model, or you already have a Pi 4 and just want to learn more about what they're capable of, this video's for you. So let's get started. First off, we'll take a look at the overall design and form factor. The Pi 4 has an almost identical form factor to the older Pi 2 and 3 models, with some big exceptions. You've got 4 USB ports here, so you can plug in whatever peripherals you want, like a keyboard, mouse, webcam, and so on. One big difference here is that these two blue ports are now upgraded to USB 3.0, whereas all 4 of them on the older Pi models were USB 2.0. This is a huge performance boost, especially for certain peripherals like USB hard drives. Whether you're using the Pi as a desktop computer and you want to access your files from an external drive, or you're using the Pi as a home media center streaming movies from an external drive, either way, having these USB 3.0 ports will give you much better performance when compared to the older Pis. Some USB webcams will also have better resolution and frame rates over USB 3.0, so these are definitely a nice upgrade. Then you've got the Ethernet port here that you can plug directly into your network if you don't want to use Wi-Fi. This is another major upgrade because the Pi 4 finally has true gigabit Ethernet. This means that when you're streaming data over an Ethernet cable, it should be 2 or 3 times faster than the older Pi 3 Model B+. So that's a huge benefit for things like streaming movies or downloading large files, which again makes the Pi 4 really well suited for general purpose desktop use or as a home media center. If you don't like all of the cables, you've also got built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which is about the same as the Pi 3, except now the Bluetooth chip supports Bluetooth 5.0 instead of just Bluetooth 4.0. Next is this 3.5mm audio-video port here. Most people will use this for audio output, for example headphones or external speakers, but it can also support old-school composite video output. This is basically the same as the Pi 2 and 3. But over here we have the HDMI ports, and this is pretty exciting. Where the older Pi models had one standard HDMI port that was limited to full HD, the newer Pi 4 has 2 micro HDMI ports that are both capable of 4K resolution. This means that the Pi can now run a dual monitor setup, which is especially nice for desktop usage. And the increased resolution should look much better on larger displays, further evidence that it's a good fit for home media centers. Here we have the GPIO pins, which if you're new to Raspberry Pis, you can think of this like an expansion port, meaning you can plug different add-on boards into these pins called hats, or you can use them directly connected to your own circuits and control them from your favorite programming language. The pin layout of the Pi 4 is exactly the same as the Pi 2 and 3, so most existing hats and add-on boards should just work. I won't go into too much detail about the GPIO pins in these videos because it's a much more involved topic, and also because the Pi 4 is so well designed for desktop use, home media, and gaming that a lot of people probably won't even use the GPIO pins directly. They're here if you need them, which I think is great because it's a great way for people to learn about electronics and programming and to build cool stuff. But these boards are so powerful that you can use them for much more than DIY maker stuff. Next we have the power supply, which is now USB Type-C, an upgrade over the older micro USB ports. This is good because USB-C is able to supply more power and is becoming more common on new devices. I also like these because there is no right orientation for plugging them in, and they tend to have a bit more of a sturdy hold. As far as CPU goes, the Pi 4 packs a 64-bit quad-core ARM Cortex-A72 with a 1.5 GHz clock speed, which is a noticeable bump up from the Pi 3B+. The GPU is also improved, which is what allows for the dual monitor 4K resolution and generally makes the new Pi better for desktop use, gaming, and video output. But for me, one of the best performance improvements is the upgrade to low-power DDR4 RAM, which is a good bump up from the low-power DDR2 RAM used in the older Pis. And not only is the memory access faster, now there are multiple options in terms of how much RAM your board has. The Pi 4 comes in either 1, 2, or 4 GB models. For desktop use, that's a real game changer because most of the performance issues from multitasking in an operating system, like surfing the web while running applications in the background, were usually from the limited memory more than from the CPU. So this gives a much nicer desktop experience and puts the performance closer to what you might expect from a low-power laptop or smartphone. Now that you're familiar with the Pi itself, let's get all of the hardware set up so we can start using it. Raspberry Pis require a few peripherals in order to use them, and my recommendation is that if you're just getting started, it helps to get a kit like this one. I got this from CanaKit, which is a pretty popular brand for these kinds of kits. You can buy everything individually, but this one already has most of what you'll need, including the Pi 4 itself, so I'll put a link in the description for that. This kit comes with the maximum 4 GB RAM model of the Pi, but you can get different versions of these kits with the 1 or 2 GB Pis, or even ones without a Pi in case you already have one. You'll need a USB Type-C power supply, which is included with these kits. This one also comes with a button switch so you can completely cut the power without unplugging it. You'll also need a micro SD card. This one comes pre-installed with software called Noobs, which makes it even easier to get started. But it includes a micro SD to USB adapter in case you want to load a different operating system onto the SD card. If you have a laptop with a micro SD port, then you don't need one of these, but they're definitely nice to have around. Next, there are 2 micro HDMI cables so you can connect 2 different monitors and use that dual display feature. But you really only need one, especially if you only have one monitor. And then there's a case, some heat sinks, and a fan so you can keep everything cool. Now, these are all optional, but for the Pi 4, I definitely recommend them more than for the Pi 2 or 3. The Pi 4 runs much hotter, and you'll get better performance if you keep it cool. Having a case makes it easier to attach a fan. In fact, these cases have a holder specifically for the fan. And the case keeps the Pi safe from coming into contact with things like metal that might short it and damage the board. And they just look nice. To put the heat sinks on, you just peel off the plastic film, line it up the best you can, and press down firmly, being careful not to damage the Pi itself. To install the fan, for this case you just snap it into here, and plug the power and ground wires into these power and ground GPIO pins. Then the case just comes together like this. This kit also came with some extra info about the Pi itself, like a pinout reference for the GPIO pins, which is really useful, for instance, if you want to know which pins to plug that fan into, and a quick start guide, which goes into more detail about the Pi itself and some GPIO programming examples. A few other things you'll need that this particular kit doesn't come with are a USB keyboard, mouse, and monitor. Any USB keyboard and mouse should work, and any monitor should work as long as it supports HDMI. And that's it for the hardware side of things. Click the video on the right to continue to part 2, where I go over the different operating systems you can run on the Pi 4. If you're interested in this particular Raspberry Pi kit, don't forget that there are links in the description for those as well. So yeah, I'll see you in the other video. Get out of here, go. Go to the next video.